All right, thanks so much for having me here today. So I'm going to talk about how financing potentially dies in darkness, financing of things like local governments and public infrastructure like schools and highways. So let me first start off by talking about the state of the local newspaper. So they have been on a pretty steady decline since the early 2000s. That's what we found. Pew Research Center says that circulation is down about 62% from 2003 to 2022. That's a drop of about 34 million subscribers, which is pretty stark, I think. And more importantly, for our research, the number of full-time State House reporters is down about 39%. So that's fewer reporters covering local governments. And the Federal Communications Commission, they published a report that underlines the seriousness of this issue. They state that in many communities, we now face a shortage of local professional accountability reporting, which is likely to lead to more government waste, more local corruption, and less effective schools. Last week tonight with John Oliver also covered the state of the local newspaper, and he stated that not having reporters at governor meetings is like a teacher leaving a room of 7th graders to supervise themselves. And so we constructed this map of newspaper closures in the United States since 1995. And you can see that newspaper closures have been on a steady increase all over the country. And so this leads to our central research question. How do local newspaper closures affect financial outcomes for local governments? And our intuition, or our proposed channel, is that if you have no newspaper watchdog, then the unwatched government is more likely to engage in wasteful spending and possibly more corruption. And so if you are going to lend to this local government so that they can build an airport, then you might be a little bit more afraid of doing so. And so you might have to ask for a higher interest rate as compensation for lending to an inefficient government, or maybe just not lend to them at all. And so what our central findings are is that interest rates are indeed significantly higher for local governments in closure counties compared to governments in similar non-closure counties. We find its additional interest expense of $650,000 on the average government loan, and this implies that there's greater difficulty raising capital for crucial infrastructure, such as the aforementioned schools, hospitals, and highways. And we find that there's increased government inefficiencies as well, like supporting our mechanism. Higher government wages of $1.4 million per year for counties that no longer have a newspaper, more government employees, about 4 per thousand, and higher taxes per capita of about $85 per person per year, which is about the cost of a newspaper subscription for that year, in fact. And so what do we learn? Basically that a robust press is not only important for democratic outcomes, as has been shown in political science research, but also the financial outcomes for local governments and taxpayers. Thank you.